So good morning and good afternoon to you all. Thank you so much for joining the Royal College of Physicians of Ireland Diploma in Paediatrics information briefing today. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. Our running order for today is Mr. Diarmuid Braddock, who's Head of Academic Affairs. We'll be having a quick chat with one of our existing students on the programme, Dr. Anwar Tizin, who's very kindly, hi Amal, join us here today. And it's so wonderful, I think, to just hear from another physician on the programme to get a very honest overview of what it entails and time commitment and just how she found the programme herself. And then we will run through the full programmatic overview, and we'll be joined then by one of the tutors on the programme for his input, particularly into curriculum and what you'll be covering on the programme, one of our senior paediatric consultants. So without any other delay, I will hand you over to Diarmuid to talk to Dr. Amal.
Thanks a million, Rebecca. It's great to see so many people on the call. This is by far one of our most popular programs, and yeah, it's always evidenced by turnout like this. Amal, it's great to have you here. Do you want to just give everyone a small introduction as to who you are, where you're from, your background, etc.?
Okay, thank you. Good morning or good evening, everyone. My name is Anwar Tizin. I am Algerian. I am a pediatrician, but a few years ago, I had to move to Kuwait to join my husband, who is working here. So I have three kids, three boys, and I had to put my career at a part to take care of my kids because they were young, and we take them to a new country. It was the first time for them. But a few years later, I was really missing my job. Pediatrics, medicine was my life and was my dream. So I was a little bit upset, but not too much because of my kids. But I wanted to go back to the medical and pediatric, and I found this opportunity to renew with the pediatric world and refresh my knowledge. When I saw this opportunity first time on social media, I said, "Oh, is it real? Can I do this? Can I do this? I am in Kuwait and they are in Ireland." And then I checked that, and I had pleasure to get feedback and some calls from your staff. And because my English is poor, because it's not my first language, all my studies were in French. But I had really support with all the teams. I like the courses. I like how Dr. Dominic is dealing with us online. We are very big team. Now, after a few months, we are like a family. Everyone is coming with his own background from different countries, different cultures, different how to deal with some pathologies, and we discuss this every time, every week together. So it's really wonderful, and I advise everyone, even my friends, to follow your courses.
That is about the best introduction I've heard to the program, Amal. I mean, and thank you so much. Like the experience that you're having obviously is really positive, and I think one of the things you've touched on is, I think we've tried to make this program feel very familial, that there's a connection and a bond between each group and our tutors. And one of the things that people see during the presentation this morning or this afternoon is that we structure this such that we get all the kind of benefit of small group teaching. So exactly to your point, we've been able to bring a qualification from the Royal College of Physicians of Ireland to a very international audience and do it in a way that really does feel like kind of small group teaching. But how, I suppose, the two things that really interest me. So you're coming from a background of being a qualified pediatrician, but I imagine lots of the people in your group are coming from different professional backgrounds. So, you're going to have family medicine, you're going to have other specialties. What's it like working with a kind of a range of professions within the course?
Actually, medicine is not fixed science. Every time you have new recommendations. So when we break after 3 years or 4 years, I was afraid that something has changed and I will do wrong things, advise wrong medicines because there are new technologies, new molecules like this, new recommendations. And with Dr. Dominic, we discuss sometimes really things with specialists, and he gave us some advices, new recommendations, and it's really helpful.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think one of the things that we're proud of is that the content of the program is as up to date as you could get. That, the content was totally rewritten at the start of this year. It was written last year. It's very much it is absolutely, what's the latest evidence in pediatrics, which is fantastic. How have you found the amount of study that you have to do, the time commitment each week? We have designed this on the basis that everybody on the program is a part-time learner and that they will have lots of either clinical or academic or family commitments. How have you found the balancing study and the rest of your life?
So we have to be regular. Regular working is the best way to ensure, because we have this week's assessments with new subjects, and we have to follow every time, and we can see the answers of the other colleagues, and it's really helpful. I'm not working now, but I'm really busy because I have 3 boys. The oldest one just finished his high school and this summer moved to France. So we had to prepare his moving and his entrance to the university. So it was not easy for me. But with regular working, if you can have 1 hour or better 2 hours a day, and you are quite in a place without any noise, you can concentrate and read all the assessments. It will be very easy.
I think that's exactly it. One of the things that I always speak about is finding a rhythm of study. So finding a pattern that works for you and that works for particularly your family and the people around you, that you can say, on a Tuesday evening, I'm going to go into that room, shut the door, have my laptop out, and that's when I'm going to do my pediatrics work. And what we're finding is that people that really succeed on the program, they're good at kind of being able to dedicate a little time to it. It shouldn't take more than kind of 5 hours a week to do the whole program, but it's making sure that that amount of time that you can kind of you can lock yourself away, and that the people you love around you will leave you alone for a little while.
Actually, it's taken me more time than other ones because of the language, because of the English. That's why it's taken me a little bit more time. So I have to translate some words. That's why it's taking some time.
That's probably a good question. There are not essays or there's not lots of written writing on this. So again, we've designed it so that people don't need to do an IELTS test or a formal English language exam. But for somebody who English is very much a second language, how have you found that? A, are you understanding the program content? And B, is it helping your English?
Yes, yes, I'm improving also the language, my English. And for the tutorials with Dr. Dominic, the first time I told him that my English is a little bit bad. So he told me, if you don't get anything, just ask me and I will repeat, I will explain again. It's really wonderful. I can understand everything in the tutorial.
Yeah, and the amazing thing about the technology now, and we don't have it turned on this morning, but you know, we can, you know, everything is transcripted, so that when you watch the video back, you can actually see the text of what's being discussed, which is amazing. So no, Amal, if you were giving guidance to anybody thinking of coming onto the program, what guidance would you give them now that you've got some experience of doing it?
Actually, it's the first time for me to join some online learning, and I really like it. And with my experience, it has been many times, because I get my diploma in 2008. So it has been a long time that I didn't study regularly. I have some books, I read regularly to get in touch, but just like this, get some courses and have some assessment. It's the first time for me, and I really like it.
Brilliant, brilliant. Well, look, Amal, thank you so much for joining us. I think it's hugely beneficial for the people on the call to hear from someone who's actually going through the program and succeeding well. So look, thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
And by all means, don't feel that you have to stay and listen to the presentation I'm about to give. You've definitely heard all of this before. So look, thank you so much, Amal. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thank you, and good luck for everyone. I encourage everyone to join the courses. It's really wonderful. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Amal.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to screen share, and I can see questions coming in chat already, which is brilliant. So keep the questions coming, and I will cover off hopefully everything that you're looking to know about the program structure, the timetable, the fees, the recognition, everything like that. So let's get stuck in. One of the first things you're going to notice about the program is that you'll see iheed alongside the Royal College of Physicians, and that leads to the question, you know, who are iheed? Anybody who is in Qatar or UAE or Saudi Arabia or indeed Malaysia may well know of us already from the work that we've done with the Ministries of Health in those countries. Effectively, we're an Irish company. We were founded by a family doctor in 2013, and really what we do is online medical education, and we work with the Royal College of Physicians, the Irish College of General Practitioners, the University of Warwick, and lots of others to bring their qualifications to a global audience. And that's the point that Amal made a couple of minutes ago, that, you know, she's working in Kuwait, and the fact that she can get the College of Physicians qualification from Kuwait in her own time is amazing. So all we do is effectively online medical education. So that's what we as an organization specialize in, and we work very closely with our academic partners to develop and deliver their programs. We've had over 400,000 course completions to date, and that's everything from, you know, at the very top end, family medicine residency programs that we run with the likes of the Ministry of Health in Malaysia, or the academies in Saudi Arabia, to master's programs that we have with the University of Warwick in areas like diabetes and public health and medical education, to shorter programs like this diploma in pediatrics, and then to CME. So it's we're specialists in online medical education. The College of Physicians, on the other hand, need far less of an introduction. They are established in 1654, and in Ireland, the College of Physicians are the regulatory training body that oversee the training and then the ongoing development and support of each of the medical specialties in Ireland, with the exception of family medicine, which is done with the Irish College of General Practitioners. So all of the other specialisms in medicine. So, you know, you've got the Faculty of Obstetrics and Gynecology, Occupational Medicine. The Pediatrics faculty was established in 1982, and they have been running pediatrics programs ever since. So this program is, you know, we developed this specifically as an online program with the College of Physicians. They had a previous diploma in pediatrics that was a face-to-face program. We started with a blank page and designed this program from scratch. One of the questions I think that came in chat is, you know, what is on the certificate at the end, and I'll come to that in a second. I suppose firstly though, why did we develop this program? So if you are going to become a consultant pediatrician or a specialist in pediatrics, whether you do that in Ireland or the UK or Qatar or anywhere else, you know, that is generally an 8-year period where you will have a residency for 2 to 3 years, depending on the system that you're in. And then, you know, you'll have exams throughout that, and then you'll have your higher specialist training. So you'll do a fellowship piece for usually another 4 to 5 years, and then you'll have your higher specialist exams. So, you know, you're looking at an 8-year path to become a specialist consultant pediatrician, no matter where you are in the world. There are obviously a whole swathe of other doctors that work with children on a regular basis that want something that goes beyond what they've done in medical school. So this program is a 6-month qualification to do exactly that. It is designed for people that are working in primary care. It's designed for people that are at the early stages of specialist pediatric training. So if you're in, you know, R1 or R2 of a pediatric residency program, this will give you all of the kind of foundation knowledge you will need for lots of the training that you will go through. It's also, and you know, Amal is a perfect example of this. She is a consultant pediatrician, and she's come back to get a refresher of, you know, what's changed and what's new, and keep herself up to date. We have, you know, as well as family medicine and actual pediatricians on the program, we tend to have a lot of emergency room doctors. There's usually a couple of cardiologists on the program. So you get people from other specialisms looking to get more insight into the world of pediatrics. So I suppose that's the rationale of the program. What that then naturally leads us to, and you know, one of the questions we always get asked is, you know, will this make me a specialist? And you know, you can see obviously a 6-month program will give you a really fantastic overview, but it won't give you a specialist status. What you do get from the program, so you get a diploma in pediatrics from the Royal College of Physicians. Again, one of the other questions that's always asked is, what's the difference between that and a diploma in child health? And I think on your CV, they would both have pretty equal standing. You know, child health and pediatrics is one of the key areas of further education that doctors take on, and certainly it's recognized worldwide as an area that people develop into. So what you're getting is, it is an academic qualification. It is recognized worldwide. Depending on where you are in the world, the amount of CPD or CME that you will get for it will vary. And you know, that is, if you're in Ireland, you'll get 44 hours. If you're in Qatar, you'll get 36 hours. If you're in Malaysia, you'll get 36 hours as well, I think. If you're in HAD, if you're under HAD in Abu Dhabi, you get 96 hours. So the amount that the regulator will give you for CPD will change based on the country that you're in. But you'll definitely take care of most, if not all, of your CPD needs for the year. I suppose the bigger question is, what does this do for your career? And when we talk to our pediatricians who deliver the program, the point that they always make is, when you've got a CV in front of you and somebody has the diploma in pediatrics on it, it shows a demonstrable interest and further expertise in the area of pediatrics. It shows to the person reading your CV that I have gone above and beyond what others have to get myself as equipped as I can to deal with issues in child health. And that if you're looking at two CVs and one has it and one hasn't, obviously that one will stand out. We get asked very regularly for recommendation letters for people that are applying for pediatric residencies. So for matching the fact that you've done a diploma in pediatrics, that certainly counts. But the majority of people on the program are generally in family medicine, and they want to give better care in pediatrics, and they recognize that there's been advances in diagnosis, in treatments, that they're not as up to speed on. So that's, I suppose, what you get from the program. What we're trying to cover off then I'll go through the program structure, etc., in a minute, but what the program is trying to do is effectively give you a lot of comfort and confidence in red flag areas, like are you going to spot Kawasaki disease? Will you be able to manage acute presentations in children? Will you be very, very comfortable with all of the normal common presentations that you'll see every day? We do lots on screening. We do lots on normal growth and development. We do lots on disability. Non-accidental injury is a thread that runs throughout the program. So really, you're getting a really, really comprehensive overview of pediatrics. We do look at the multidisciplinary teams in quite a lot of detail, and the interface and kind of referrals between what happens in primary care and secondary care. And I think Amal spoke to these last 2 points a little bit, and I'll elaborate on them later. But the peer group that you'll join, you'll be in a small group of 25 people, and those groups they form very tight bonds. You get to know everybody on your course, and because it's an international program, you're doing international networking. So the program, as I said earlier, the content is as up to date as you can get. It is based on latest scientific thinking. So how the program is structured then is we're structured into 22 weeks of learning, and that's spread over the 6 months, those 22 weeks. And we structure that into 3 blocks, and block 1 is a reasonably gentle introduction of 6 weeks, and block 2 and block 3 are 8 weeks long each. And there are specific topics to each of those weeks. And we're joined, I think, by Dr. Jarlath O'Donoghue, who's one of our tutors on the program. Jarlath, can you hear me?
I can, Dermot, I can. I thought it was 9 o'clock rather than 8 o'clock. So that's my excuse today.
No worries at all. No worries at all. Great to have you here, Jarlath. So Jarlath, what I was about to do is, without going through, line by line what people can see on the screen, would you like to give an overview as to, why we have chosen these areas of study? Why have we said, this is what this particular program is going to focus on in each of the blocks? And, how have you found your groups have reacted to the content while you've been teaching them?
Yeah, well, first of all, maybe I should, as a very general introduction to myself, just to say I'm Gerald O'Donoghue. As it happens, I have the best job in the world. I'm now retired, but I was for quite a number of years, shall we say, consultant pediatrician. I've worked in a wide variety of places, a lot in the UK, London particularly, and in more recent times, I've worked in a small unit in Northern Ireland. So I approach it from the basis of my most recent employment, which is in a relatively small unit where you had to cover general pediatrics, neonatology, and community pediatrics. So on that basis, I suppose with the GCH, I think it's a matter of trying to cover, first of all, the things that will cause people biggest concern. Whenever you start a new job in pediatrics, people tend to want to make sure that you know how to recognize something like meningococcal septicemia or septicemia in general. Because if you don't, it's a time critical issue and you miss the opportunity. The second is that it gives you a general overview of things like developmental issues. And for people who haven't worked in pediatrics, that can be difficult to get your head round. It covers a broad range of general pediatrics, not so much what you might call a tropical pediatrics, but that issues of interest throughout the world are present inevitably in a number of different settings. From my own point of view, my ongoing training that I do is in APLS, Advanced Pediatric Life Support. I also do a newborn care training program, which we run in Cameroon in Africa. And I do ongoing training for the College of Pediatrics in Dublin, College of Physicians of Ireland in Dublin in child protection issues. That has now become a national program. So from that perspective, I feed all of those issues into the discussions that we have.
And Jarlath, I suppose one of the things that we have looked at in detail. So what people can see across kind of block one is we've got, as you say, you're starting off kind of recognizing the critically ill child and getting into kind of lots of kind of bread and butter issues around viral and asthma and upper and lower respiratory and skin and things like that. But really then when some of the what we're always conscious of is that, as I said at the start, kind of the different audience of primary care versus people that are in kind of actual pediatric roles, and particularly the interplay between the two. And when we were designing the curriculum, we had to look at within 6 months what will we include and what will we not include. And I think what is your view on where we're touching on areas like, if I go into say block 3, and people can, I think people can see here, there's a specific topic to each week, and you go into that topic in depth, and then obviously there's time off between when we study and when the exams are. But areas like kind of genetics and diabetes and rehydration, what approach do we take to what are generally very hospital-based pediatric care?
Yeah, well, the first thing I think that's worth mentioning is that each week there are a number of cases for consideration. And I haven't actually added up the total number of cases. Maybe you have, Dermot, but I think it must be over 100.
Oh, easily.
And when I look at the variety of cases that there are, it's almost certainly a greater variety of cases than you would come across during the traditional first 6 months of pediatrics, which is what most GPs do in this part of the world. And I suppose most people having traditionally taking an interest in pediatrics do 6 months in the first instance as a kind of a taster to see if it's likely to be right for them. So I think, in fact, you get exposure. It's obviously not clinical exposure, but it's as close as you can get to. And the cases are chosen so that it represents what you might call a good broad 6 months of pediatrics. It's possible you might do 6 months, let's say, of as starting in your experience in pediatrics. But it happens that nobody has come in with meningitis, meningococcal septicemia, nuance convulsions, for example. It may just happen, it's the luck of the draw. So with clinical-based training, obviously there is an element of you get 6 months experience, but you may have that 6 months may actually be 1 month of experience 6 times rather than 6 different months of experience.
Yeah.
And I think it strikes me that the cases do give you exposure to more than a lot of people might get during the course of.
I completely agree. And actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move on to the actual delivery model, because I think one of the things you're touching on is actually how we bring this content to life. And so you'll have seen the variety of topics that are covered on the program, and it is extremely broad. But I suppose the pattern of how we deliver that each week is really important. And this is something that Amal spoke about at the start, was kind of, finding a rhythm to study in. And because this program is designed to be online, it really does help with that. So we'll start off with an induction week. And that induction week will get you fully comfortable with the online platform, with the structure of the program, with the assessment, which I'll talk about in a minute. And basically everything that you need to get comfortable before you start week 1. Each week of topics then, and we'll start off with the history taking and general examination being kind of the bedrock of any pediatric assessment. Each week has its own topic. We'll start off with a case discussion on that topic. So as Jarlath has said, we will present you with a case example, and in your own time, whenever suits during the week, you will discuss that case with your colleagues in your group of 25. The heart of the program, though, is the e-learning content that you then study similarly throughout the week in your own time. And I think this is where, in comparison to the face-to-face program that used to be in existence, and in comparison to, say, the exams-based qualifications in pediatrics, like the diploma in child health, for example, where what you're doing is you're sitting exams, you're not going through a course itself. What we have designed is that all of the materials and all of the guidance and all of the tuition that you need to pass those exams, everything is built into the program. So, the content, as Jarlath has said, we will give you all of the clinical content, and we will focus really hard on clinical decision making. And in that way, it's a very practical, patient-based program that it'll give you the background information. And then, Jarlath, I mean, the tutorial sessions that you run, they are really focused on kind of bringing cases to life and discussing how people have seen these presentations or not in their professional careers, and how they've managed us. Is that fair?
Well, I suppose when I'm putting together that stuff for a week, as it were, I do tend to start with trying to give people a background information, and because the cases might be 6 cases or whatever it is for the week, and there are going to be gaps. So I suppose my opening slides tends to be, does anybody have any question based on what we've done before or on the last week, to try to give people an opportunity to raise any issues.
Yeah.
There are different types of people obviously attending such a course. Some people like to get involved. Some people like to stay in the background.
Absolutely. And I think, again, that's the beauty of online, is it facilitates either. So, towards the end of a week, so this discussion will go live on a Sunday morning, and then in Europe we have tutorials on a Wednesday and a Thursday evening. In Malaysia and kind of Australasia, the tutorials are a Thursday evening local time, and then in the Middle East they tend to be on a Friday morning. And, they're the times that seem to suit most people. So Jarlath's right. When you come to this live tutorial, which is an hour a week, it gives you the opportunity to at least, get clarification on anything in the content that you want. But more importantly, you spend the time discussing the cases, and you spend the time kind of bringing the content to life. So if you've just spent the week looking at dehydration and rehydration, you'll then be getting into case discussions about, well, what would we do in this scenario? What would we do in this scenario? That it's unique to each patient, and what you're going to do is evidence-based. So the other piece then that has been coming up in chat that I can see is the assessment. The assessment on this program is really, really straightforward. And people tend to do very well. It's an important part of the program, but it's not designed to catch people out in any way. So after each block, so the block 1 is 6 weeks, then we've got 8 weeks and 8 weeks. After each block, we've a skills portfolio and an exam. And the exam is a multiple choice style exam. And the exam will feel very similar to the cases that you will discuss during the week. So it will say an 11-year-old boy comes in, and his parents are reporting that he is tired and irritable, he's urinating a lot, he is and he's lost a bit of weight. What are you thinking in terms of initial diagnosis? And they'll obviously get more complex than that, but it'll give you a case background, and then it will ask you, what's your next step in diagnosis, in testing, in referral, in treatment, in management, in intensification, whatever is relevant to that particular case. And as I said, it is single best answer or multiple choice questions. There are a very small amount of free text answers which require you to give 1 or 2 bullet point answers, and that allows for scenarios that not everything is black and white, and there are going to be very credible alternative answers that would be equally acceptable. So sorry, I'm going off the slide. The exam assessment is very straightforward, and you can see there the exam is worth 20% of the diploma goes for block 1, and then 30% and 30%. So that's the test of clinical decision making, is what comes in the exam. The other piece that the Royal College are extraordinarily keen on is communication skills. So what we do is we ask you at the end of block 1, 2, and 3 to enlist the help of an actor. So they will be a family member, a colleague, a friend, definitely not a live patient or a real parent. And we will give you a role play scenario. So we will give you a case background. And let's say it is that you're meeting the parents of a 9-year-old who has to go on growth hormone injections. And, how will you explain that in an appropriate way using non-medicalized language? How will you deal with the parents' kind of fears and concerns? And, so what we get you to do is give us, a 5 to 7 minute video of you approaching that consultation. And you simply upload that to the platform, and that is what's graded. The first one, because this is usually a new concept to everyone, so the first one is formative. It doesn't count for the diploma marks, it's for practice. And then the next 2, they count for 10% each. So very straightforward, but something the college think is really, really important. And I'll talk about the pass rates in a couple of minutes, but it's, as I said, the exams are not there, and the assessment is not there to catch people out. It's there to be a fair reflection of the program. The vast majority of people do very, very, very well. In terms of what the program actually feels like then. So as I said, 25 people in a group, and maintaining that ratio of having, having your tutor, so having Jarlath with a group of 25 people is really, really important. Just because the program is online does not mean you can keep kind of putting as many people as you want on it. We limit the places very deliberately to maintain the quality of the delivery. So, that small group teaching, and as Amal said at the start, that sense of camaraderie and getting to know a group of similarly like-minded people is really, really positive. And it'll be an international group as well. The structure, the 3 blocks, what you cover in those 22 weeks, the pace of it, that is a well-honed and well-oiled machine at this stage. That pace works brilliantly. This has one of the highest completion rates of any of our online programs. The pace works. It assumes everybody is a full-time practicing clinician and a part-time learner on the program, and it's structured around that. Personal commitment, it's about 5 hours a week. And, you can break that down to the content that you will go through during the week. It'll take you about an hour to go through that content. It will take you about an hour to get involved in the case discussion that you'll have during the week. You'll spend approximately an hour on your tutorial once a week. And then, depending on the week that's in it, you might do more reading in some areas than others. So, what we say is about 5 hours a week. What is important is the only time during the week that you need to actually be somewhere is that 1 hour for the tutorial. And even at that, the tutorials are all recorded and you can watch them back afterwards if you do miss them. So everything in the program is available to you from the start, and then all of your tutorials are recorded as you go along, and they're available to watch back with a live transcript of the audio as well. So it really is that, the flexibility, and I suppose the support that's available is huge. And the support, again, as a kind of what in education you'd view as an executive program, so that everyone is a full-time professional, the support is really important. So Charles Shepherd is our program leader. He oversees everything. Similarly, there's a pediatrician in the College of Physicians that oversees everything. The tutors are a phenomenally enthusiastic and engaged bunch of pediatricians. Again, all of your tutors are consultant pediatricians. They are from the UK and Ireland, mostly Ireland, but some, about 20% working in the UK as well. They have, and I think this is, to Jarla, to your point, this is where, over the course of a career, the tutors will have seen all of the presentations that we're talking about in the course content, whereas within a single rotation, as you say, it can be hit or miss as to what happens to present in front of you. The program management team, so you will see someone from your program management team every single week on each one of your tutorials. So you'll get to know them very well as well. But there are always people to ask questions of. There are always people that can give you guidance and support and advice. And the technical support people are the least used people in iheed or the College of Physicians. The content, the platform, all of it just works. So the other questions that generally come up on these webinars is around eligibility and fees and the like. So in terms of eligibility, the program is designed for medical doctors. So what we will look for is your MBBS or your MBCHB or your MD qualification. So you have to be a medical doctor to come in the program. You do have to be able to complete the program through English. And as Amal said at the start, English is not her first language. She would not have been particularly strong in it, but we're not asking you to write essays. So once you are comfortable with conversational English, and once you are comfortable reading the content on the platform, and if you can read these slides, that'll be the standard you'll need, you'll be fine. So we don't ask you for a formal English exam like IELTS, etc. What we ask you for is your university certificate. We need formal identification from you, and we need a personal statement. And again, the personal statement gives us a bit of comfort around the English. It also says, you know, that your motivations for joining the program are right, and that the program is a good fit for you. So the fee for the program, this program has been designed to be accessible to most doctors, no matter where you are in the world. So the fee is €2,500. It is a €500 deposit to book your space on the program. And then you can either, you can pay the balance in full, you can pay it in 2 payments of 1,000, or you can pay it in 4 payments of €500 across the program. There are no other scholarships available. When the College of Physicians set the program fee for this program, they very much said, we'll have a fee that we think is fair and accessible to most, and then, you know, that's it. So it's got an amount of flexibility in it, and it's got you know, it's an easy program to join in terms of what we ask of you. It's fairly straightforward. So in terms of how people have found it, I mean, Amal gave a pretty glowing review at the start, but we've had 1,000 people odd from 52 countries on the program. There's 92% student engagement in the program, which is phenomenal. And some of that is people that are at every single tutorial and do everything exactly as prescribed. And for others, they are watching some of the tutorials back as recordings afterwards. They're still engaging with the discussion forum, etc. But what it shows to us is that the design of the program is right, that you can, you know, as a busy clinician, you can get through the program well. The pass rate is not surprising to us, in that the entry criteria of everybody being a medical doctor means we've got an extremely high caliber of learner on the program. The support and the guidance and the quality of the tuition is second to none. And then the assessment is fair. Like the assessment is not trying to catch anybody out. So we expect that the vast majority of people will succeed and will pass the program. And you can see there a couple of quotes down the end. So, you know, I'll stop sharing now. We can get into the questions that are on chat. But effectively, this program runs over approximately 6 months, with a couple of study breaks as well for sensible things. It's only open to medical doctors, so that's the first piece. What we're looking at is giving you a lot more confidence in areas around, you know, acute presentations, the very common stuff that you see, red flags, and then lots on kind of development and growth and things like that. I've spoken about the online experience. It's phenomenal. The diploma from the College of Physicians is recognized worldwide. It is, I mean, Jarlath, I think it's fair to say that, you know, a diploma in pediatrics or in child health, it is one of the kind of the standard postgraduate qualifications that doctors have. You know, it's seen as a very positive thing for people's CV and career to have done this type of qualification.
Very much so. I think maybe particularly for general practice, I suppose the tradition was, if you had a DCH, then you knew enough about pediatrics for a good quality general practice. There was a question I saw there about applying for UK training and whether it's applicable or of value. It's not specifically listed. I checked the person specification. It's not specifically listed, but on the other hand, there is a phrase which you find in a lot of these selection procedures in the UK nowadays, where you get credit for demonstrating an interest in and commitment to the speciality beyond the mandatory curriculum.
That is, it's funny you say that. One of our colleagues, Mark Rollins, was on one of these webinars a few months ago, and he has been involved in those exact selection panels, and would say exactly that point, that if someone has demonstrated the interest and demonstrated the commitment to the area, it shines.
Yes, so, certainly. I don't sit on any of those panels, haven't done for a few years now, but certainly it was one of the things. It has a certain formal status, but on the other hand, if you're a working pediatrician, and you want to make sure that the people working in the more junior posts are made of the right kind of stuff, shall we say?
Yeah.
I think
exactly.
that would be one way of finding evidence of it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I suppose the final point, I'm sure Rebecca will reiterate this, is we have been stunned at the interest in this program every time we've run it. Jarlath will advocate that, you know, the groups are full. They're full every time we do it, which is amazing. But what it means is they are oversubscribed every time we run it. So if you are interested in coming on board for what is going to be the last of the 2021 runnings of it, I would advise applying sooner rather than later. They tend to fill up very, very quickly. So Rebecca, I'll stop screen share here, and let's go over to you and Nullig and see what's been going on in chat, because I've only had half an eye on it while I've been talking.
Yeah,
Nullig,
so thanks for the presentation, Dermot and Jarla. There's a good question there. If somebody's already a paediatrician, how beneficial is the diploma for a promotion?
A promotion. If you are already a consultant pediatrician, it's certainly something positive to have in your CV, but I don't think it would. It's not going to give you a different scope of practice or status. I would expect a pediatrician, and I'm talking someone who has done, you know, 8 years of specialist training. You know, they would not require this particularly for a promotion, but it would not certainly hurt either.
Excuse me, Dermot, but I think that will vary very much from country to country. In the UK and Ireland, where there's a very long-established tradition now of specialist training, the DCH would fit in at the earlier stages, the first step or two along the way, or the application for training. I know there are some countries which don't have a well-established track record of formal training. And it may be that if you're in one of those countries, it might be beneficial in the sense that it shows a degree of knowledge. It confirms a degree of knowledge. So I think that's a question that you can only answer for yourself by talking to people in your own area. There are also different career paths, I suppose, in pediatrics as well. There's the traditional consultant pediatrician route. Then in the UK, there has been there is a group of doctors known as half grades who don't have the same training background. And depending on the context in which you're working, it might be seen as being beneficial in that context. So it will be very much place and job specific, I think, the answer to that question.
Yeah, that's very fair, Jonathan. Very fair.
Right, thanks. So there was another question from Kieran just asking if they register in the program, will they be registered in the Royal College students list?
So you will be a student of the Royal College of Physicians. I want to make absolutely certain they don't mean the list of trainees that are on specialist training programs. There is a difference there. So yes, right. You will be a student of the Royal College of Physicians, absolutely. But they have a separate list of the people that are undertaking their specialist training program. So a residency in pediatrics, for example, and that is different. So I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure which they're referring to, but certainly, yes, you're a student of the Royal College of Physicians for sure.
Can I just check, Dermot? People can get access to library facilities, presumably, can they, or journal access through the Royal College?
Yeah. So the library facilities, everything that they need is given through the one platform. So when you go onto the online learning environment, you've got all of the you've all of the weekly content, you've all of the cases, you have the library, you've got all of the ways to communicate with everybody. It's all housed in kind of in one area, which is brilliant. Yeah, sorry, Nullig, go on.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much it, Dermot, in terms of the questions. So yeah, thank you everyone for attending. One of the education advisors will be in touch in the next couple of days just to follow up from the webinar. If you would like to apply, we have put the registration link into the webinar chat, and we will also be in communication by email. There's only very limited spaces left for the October intake. So if you are keen, try and apply and pay the deposit as soon as possible. And yeah, we hope as many of you can join as possible. So thanks to Dermot, Emil, and Jarlath for your time. And yeah, we look forward to seeing everyone for the October intake.
Thanks so much, Noel and Jarlath. Great to see you this morning.
Okay, thank you very much. I'll sign off.
Thanks so much,
Yeah, everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.